Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Game on Cloud 9 here, and I'm here to bring you guys a new Naruto manga 638 prediction. Before I get started on this, I have to say, have a happy 4th of July to all of my subscribers out there. Now, I know some of you guys out there may not actually be from the United States, so Independence Day, 4th of July, that may not mean anything to you, but I still want to say have an awesome day today, great day. Hope you enjoy yourself, whatever you may be doing, whatever you may be celebrating, this is a good day. Any day that, you wake up in the morning, I think is a good day. So I hope you enjoy it and you continue to stay safe. Now, just to get started on this week's chapter, beware to everybody. You may get a little bit of excitement. You may think I'm fanboying a little bit on this camera, in this video, and the main reason why that is because I absolutely love this chapter. I'm gonna come from this from a reviewing standpoint this week, but I'm also gonna go ahead and tell you what I think as a fan, which I usually do anyway. But you're really gonna get this week because I really enjoyed this chapter. So you're gonna get both halves, of course. Now, jumping into it, let's just go ahead and start off talking about the beginning, or talk about the whole chapter as far as give a synopsis. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis on it. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump to, my thoughts, what I actually thought about it from a reviewing perspective. And then we'll get into the, actual prediction or what I think is going to happen next. Now to start off, I want to say this week's chapter, of course it started off with this Obito making his little hand seal. He's supposed to be doing the Rene Tensei. Madara is controlling him. And, Madara even thinks back to when he told Obito that, hey, eventually you're going to have to return this favor to me. And he's like, now, today is the day. So Obito, during, this whole process, you see him holding hand seal. I didn't really see him yelling anymore, but he pretty much seemed like he was completely being controlled at that point. And, Obito even had like a little small flashback thinking back to Team Minato when they were all together, showing Kakashi and Rin when they were walking away. So at this key moment, you can definitely see, okay, Rin probably is one of the main key reasons why Obito did what he did. I mean, that should be obvious probably from this particular volume right here, where you see, of course, you see Obito's flashback, you see, everything he went through, seeing when he, this particular scene right here, I'm pretty sure everybody remembers, so everybody knows Ren was the main reason for why Obito ended up becoming what he ended up becoming. So, some people may have got a little annoyed with that. I guess if you wanted to give a little negative to the chapter, that probably would be, one that he's thinking about that. But I feel like it kind of linked in with something else we saw in the chapter. So I definitely have to say, I felt like, it had its importance. So I didn't really mind that part at all. I didn't think it was really that bad. Now, of course, after that, you have Hashirama. He starts to think to himself, he knows what Madara's up to because he sees Madara like glowing in this light, and he realizes, wait a minute, he's about to use the outer path. He's trying to use the Rinnegan to bring himself back to life. So he orders everybody, he tells Naruto and Sasuke, hey, I want you to go ahead, attack him. And I don't know, actually I kind of like the first kind of ordering Naruto and Sasuke around, because I don't know, it's like, I don't know why it kind of makes me like because in Naruto and Sasuke, they try to, I guess you say, portray them like they're somewhat like brothers. And it kind of made it seem like the first Hokage is kind of like their grandfather. I don't know, that may sound kind of weird to say, but when he ordered them and the way he said it, kind of, I got that kind of vibe from it. I don't know, it's just like, he just seems like their natural elder to them. I don't know. Like, that's just me. But anyway, they ended up going ahead and attacking, trying to get to Obito. Sasuke got there the fastest. I mean, Naruto kind of was lagging behind, but Sasuke instantly went in. He jumped on the Ten Tails, made a Chidori. Well, no, first he used Susanoo. He ordered, what's his name, Alba to disappear because Alba got caught by the Ten Tails. And then, he went and used Susanoo, fired an arrow. Madara had Obito use some of the black rods to shoot out of his arm. And they actually were able to nullify the Amaterasu. Now, that may actually confuse some people out there, because some of you may be saying, wait a minute, how could that be? But, I'm assuming. Now, of course, assumptions as a reviewer aren't necessarily the best things to make, but I feel like this is actually somewhat logical to actually think. I think the reason why I was able to stop the Amaterasu is because if you look at, let's say, Predapath, that's a Rinnegan ability. So I kind of figure maybe, he can use Predapath through different methods, such as, let's say, the black rods that he can create out of his own will. So, I could be wrong, but that's just my own assumption. Because otherwise it wouldn't have made sense how it was able to stop the Amaterasu arrow. But yeah, Sasuke charges in with the Chidori, and then you get to the part where Of course, Obito, still thinking to himself. And then Minato comes out of nowhere. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. All the Hokages, they made their shadow clones to try to attack Madara just in case. Like the first made his wood clones. The second, he made about 2 clones. I guess that was all he could make while he was holding the barrier because it takes so much focus to hold this barrier. So I guess you can kind of see where their chakra levels stand too. And then you even had Minato make a shadow clone. But anyway, Minato comes up to him, slices Obito, I guess because the seal that he placed on Obito a long time ago actually happened, I guess it stays on you forever. So, that's a pretty interesting thing too. We found out, little known fact. And after he sliced Obito, he comes to that realization, of course, Obito was the masked man. Obito's the one who did all this. And, I found it a bit sad when you get into the flashback, you see, when he's thinking about, what he said to Obito. Back what we saw earlier in the chapter when you saw Ren and Kakashi walk away, and Minato turned around and said, you really like that girl, or you really love her, don't you? And then he was like, don't worry, we'll become Hokage. Now, some people may think that's not really a good statement, that he said to him, but, I felt like it was a nice student-teacher moment, it shows something about Obito's character, and Obito, he right after that, he was like, sensei, and then Minato told him, hey, I wanted you to become Hokage. This is what I wanted to happen, and then, pretty much, of course, Obito ended up being this monster that he is now. Now, just let me speed this up and get to the end of the chapter. Now, the end of the chapter, of course, is when we have, everybody's thinking Obito's dead, everything's over, Sasuke's thinking this is over, and Obito instantly wakes up and he says something to Sasuke along the lines like, oh, you traitor, something. I can't really remember word for word what he said, but something along the lines of calling Sasuke a traitor. Instantly, Ten Tails gets sucked in, and then, sucked in, and then we find out that Obito has become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Even though everybody thought he was dead, somehow he managed to survive and seal in his body. Oh yeah, one more thing to mention. Madara failed. Madara, even acknowledged himself that he failed in, I guess, sealing the tent, or, being managed to taking control of Obito. So that was pretty much, that was earlier on in the chapter when that was said, but that's pretty much in short, well, maybe not in short, because I went kind of long with this, but pretty much everything that happened in this week's chapter of Naruto. Now, to get on to my actual thoughts this week, okay. Now, what I really enjoyed about the end of the chapter, or really enjoyed, is the fact that Obito pulled a fast one over on Madara. Some people really like Madara out there. I like Madara a lot too. I thought the idea was really cool, Madara becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, but I thought that was an awesome plot twist, because everybody thought Obito was done. He was finished, he was out of there, we weren't going to see him anymore, and that was the end. Part of me was kind of thinking in my head, that wasn't so good, if I were to take that from a reviewing standpoint, because we still needed explanations on Obito. Still needed some things to be said. Even if you don't like Obito, still some things needed to be talked about. Some things needed to be addressed. And I felt like it was a little early for him to go out of the way, but I figured, well, he's probably gone. I figured maybe Kishimoto just said, hey, forget him. I don't care anymore about Obito. But of course, now we see that wasn't the case. Obito, he ended up actually taking control of the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, and I feel, or Ten Tails, Beast, and I feel as though that really actually makes Obito I'm not gonna say a better character necessarily, because I don't think Obito's a bad character, and I think I'll actually make a video about that explaining why. But I felt as though that actually, I don't know, like I said, well, in a sense, I would say that makes him maybe a little bit better of a character, or shows. It goes more with the parallels of him and Naruto being the same in terms of their personality, because Naruto was known to be strong-willed and stubborn, and I felt as though, people always saying, oh, Obito's going to get the talk no jutsu, Obito's going to get the talk no jutsu. Well, I think he will get it, but I think the way Kishimoto's handling this, I'm really liking it, because it's showing that Obito isn't going down. He's doing just like how Naruto would do. I'm not going down without a fight. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. Now, as to how Obito did take control of the Ten Tails, that's still unknown. We don't know how it happened, but I expect to see some craziness next week, some epic action. Now, from a reviewing standpoint, I still think that this was a good plot twist, because Obito, he's been, I would say probably for a long time, I'm not going to say all of part 2, but, good chunk of part 2 being established once he showed up into the story. that, I mean, he was going to play some type of major factor. I mean, going back to Kakashi Gaiden, they kind of hinted at the fact that Obito may actually come back because Obito had a lot of regret when he was put under those boulders. If you ever go back and look at Kakashi Gaiden, Obito said to himself when the boulders were falling, I wish I could stay with everybody, longer. So that showed the character had a lot of regret, what was going on with his life. So Kishimoto did hint back then that he probably, or that he was going to end up bringing Obito back. So Obito, of course, he's a major villain. He's a major playing role. Now, do I think he's the main villain? Well, I still like that still seems like that's, remains to be seen because Madara, the fact that he's just kind of lax on the battlefield like, oh, I failed. Some people are thinking, oh, Madara, are kind of pissed about that. How could you just, act like that, Madara? But for all we know, Madara may still have something up his sleeve. But I do like the fact that Obito did pull a fast one because it shows Obito's not just a pushover. He's not just someone that just followed Madara's orders. He is his own person. He's, the real deal. Because that's what everybody's argument was about Obito's character. That, all he did was follow Madara's orders. But, it clearly is shown right here that Obito has a will of his own. Yeah, he may have, after finding out Madara's plan, decided to go, according to his own, Madara's agenda. But at the same time, he was just using, all of Madara's tools necessary in order to get the Jubi for himself, which is what I like about Obito. That's what I think makes a pretty good villain. But again, I'll get into a whole video about that. In fact, I probably will even make that video today. But anyway, yeah. So this week's chapter of Naruto definitely, I felt like the flow was good. I mean, all the way through from the beginning, we had, major event going down with Obito performing the Rinne Tensei, questioning us, making us think, whether or not it's going to happen. Then in the middle of the chapter, you had the whole scene with Minato. And then at the end, it left us a great cliffhanger. I felt like the artwork was pretty solid this week. The only thing that was an error in terms of the artwork was Minato's cloak on the back of it. And now I know that may sound like I'm overanalyzing a little bit, because I read the chapter a few times. And I noticed that, the symbol on the back was the symbol that Naruto has on the back of his cloak. Now, you may say, oh, well, that's just because he has the Kyuubi cloak on. But if you look back a few chapters ago, if I remember correctly, he had the whole fourth, the fourth Hokage in Kanji going down the back of his cloak. So I would think that would be what shows up. So that was a little bit of our error, but that panel was still drawn pretty nicely when he was, slicing Obito. So again, artwork was handled well. I thought the pacing all the way through was good. Ended on a great cliffhanger. And, found out some interesting facts in this week's chapter. Some of you may not like the cliffhanger, but again, from a writing standpoint, I felt as though it definitely, had a lot of us going. And it was definitely probably something that a majority of us didn't expect. It definitely shows that Kishimoto just didn't decide to throw Obito's character away. And then there's some things that even have you questioning, okay, what's Madara's true motive? Is Madara finished? Is Madara done? Now, as to what I want to see next chapter is, don't forget, I have to get on this prediction too. I think what may happen, Obito, obviously, he's going to be pissed. He's going to be mad. I'm not sure if he's going to be as concerned about the Infinite Tsukuyomi right now. I don't think we're going to instantly go into Infinite Tsukuyomi. What I think is going to happen, I think he's going to go on Rampage. It's that simple. I mean, I think what his goal would be at this point is probably, I'm going to annihilate all of you on the battlefield right now. And after this, I'm going to project the Infinite Tsukuyomi. Because that's usually what a villain would do. And that would make more sense. Because if he instantly goes up into the sky, does Infinite Tsukuyomi, I would assume they're finished. Unless by some unknown means, like the tail beasts are able to break them out of it. Or because, you have a couple Sharingan users on the battlefield. They're able to escape from it. But other than that, they would all be finished. So, I think, he's going to go on a rampage, obviously. Ten Tails, not sure if he'll be able to control it completely. He's covering one of his eyes, so I'm thinking that maybe the other eye is going to actually be like what some people like to call it the Shard Renegon. So you may have some, the multiple tomos, like kind of like the Ten Tails eye. So you probably have like the Ten Tails eye in his other eye. He's probably not going to use Kamui from this point on. I think Kamui days are done, so we're probably just going to see like Ten Tails feats. I'm thinking, you never know, the Jubi could break out of him, or the Jubi may actually take control of Obito, and he may lose his own consciousness in this, and be trapped inside, and maybe when he gets to talk no jutsu, he'll come out, and once again take control of his body, or something crazy like that, and maybe then he'll take himself to the other dimension and leave himself there. I don't know. But I definitely think that, we're going to, see just rampaging next week. A lot of craziness, which I expect nothing but epicness. He's probably going to gun for Madara. Madara is probably going to be the first on his hit list, I'm thinking. Sasuke, since obviously Sasuke betrayed him, maybe if he has control, maybe he'll attack Sasuke, and then, but Naruto will probably jump in front of him like, no, not today. I'm not letting you kill anyone. Again, Madara may have a plan. We may not see what Madara's actually got up his sleeve for another few chapters, but I don't think Madara's just going to go down just like that. And the reason why, Obito with the Ten Tails may actually end up being stronger in terms of brute force and everything, but Madara, he's too lax to me for it not to be anything. Madara, his character, he seems, to be overconfident, and all that, but I don't think that he's stupid. I don't think he's, that he would just, for something he's been planning for all this many years, that he would not be pissed if he had some kind of actual, if he actually was finished in terms of his goals. So there's going to be something more there. I think he's got something else up his sleeve, something more planned. I'll let you guys decide what maybe Madara is going to do. Maybe, from the Rinnegan in his eye, maybe he can still take control over Obito's body. Or maybe he plans on controlling Obito while he's in that state and just using Obito as a weapon rather than just using the Jubi. So using Obito, to control the Jubi to, of course, cause destruction. It could be that too. Who knows? But again, don't count Madara out. I definitely think Madara has more to bring. And Obito probably is just going to start massacring or trying to massacre people. He's probably going to have a whole hit list next week. So be ready for next week's chapter. We're probably going to start off on a strong note. This probably will go on for a few chapters because if you've noticed anything about the Naruto series, Kishimoto likes to break up, certain things. Or I try to say focus on certain things for about 10 chapters because he likes to, fit it all in one volume. And an example of this is this volume. This entire volume right here focuses all on Obito's unmasking and finding out Obito's reasons as to why he actually ended up, of course, becoming what he ended up becoming. So, I felt as though, and if you look at probably some of the other volumes, example, the volume that I think that's going to be released pretty soon with when Sasuke had the Hokages, talk to the Hokage, that's a complete volume by itself, from the time they started giving him answers to the end when they, told him everything, everything that they knew. So, sometimes that may be the reason why some people think the pacing is off. With Kishimoto, it seems like, oh, he's rushing something or he's going too slow with something. But I think that's generally because he's trying to fit a number of certain information in a particular volume. So that's why every 10 chapters or so, if you notice the pattern, that you may actually have, I would say, or you would have probably at the end of the cliffhanger, some big cliffhanger or some crazy thing that happens. And this week's chapter was like the 10th chapter in a volume, which is why probably next week, it's going to probably be the beginning of another volume, if that made any sense. Now, for my rating for this week's chapter, great cliffhanger, excellent flow. Was there anything monumental that made it Sage of the Six Paths level? That's one of the biggest or hardest things for me to decide because usually when I go Sage of the Six Paths level or something, which I haven't done that yet, but if I were to rate it like that, it has to make like Shonen Jump history to me. There has to be something huge, like, massive depths or something just the craziest plot twist. And seeing as how we got the previous chapter before that was all right, but, I felt, and the cliffhanger was pretty good, but I feel as though you need more build-up. Or more crazy. I feel like it has to be more like a bunch of crazy things going down that build up into just an epic chapter that has this crazy twist in it for you to give it Sage of Six Paths level. So I don't know if I'll be able to give it that, but I can give this week's chapter an above Kage level rating. So if that makes any sense, I know it may sound kind of confusing what I've been saying in this review, but that's what I'm going to go with this week because looking at the previous chapter, I know it's kind of weird to talk about the previous chapter when we're talking about this chapter mainly, but the previous chapter, even though the cliffhanger was good leading into this chapter and the chapter started off on this, I feel like you need something just a little bit more crazy for me to give it Sage of the Six Paths rating because again, that means you're making Shonen Jump history and that's huge. So this is just going to get an above level Kage rating because, the flow was good. Excellent cliffhanger. Middle was good. Beginning was good. Artwork was smooth. You know, so that's pretty much the end of this week's prediction / review. I'm assuming it ended up being pretty long. I'm not 100% sure because I can't actually see how much time is on this video until I actually upload it. But I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So if you do enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please put a thumbs up. And that's it for this video. So I'll see you guys later.